Good evening, Fernwood. It is your sinful sensualist, Neil, and there are cinco, cinque, cinque, kvin episodes of Mary Hartman. Mary Hartman left. It is episode 321 from June 27th, 1977. This is it. This is the last week of Mary Hartman. Mary Hartman. If you are just joining us today, perhaps you should go back to rerun season, episode 1 of the entire series, because it's been like a year and a half or something. But for the rest of you, let us do a recap. The big news last week is that Mary Hartman left Fernwood to run away with Dennis Foley. She left Tom and Heather Hartman at home, and they are adjusting to her being gone. Tom has started redecorating and Heather has acted out, but it's clear that they miss Mary in their own ways. Kathy Shumway got the news from Dr. Furman that her kidney is failing and that she will need a transplant. The only eligible person that they can find is Mary Hartman, who has left. Their mother Martha has taken over Kathy's sandwich selling job, and their father George has taken a job at the factory as a custodian. During an interview on live television, Merle and Wanda Jeter disgraced themselves when their cohorts Buzz and Angela announced that they were members of the American Communist Party. Merle has been suspended as mayor and they have been evicted from their place at La Casa de la Chica Bonita. Loretta and Charlie Haggers have a new house guest, and that is Barth Gimble, the twin brother of the late Garth Gimble. Garth is producing a show centered on Loretta, but the Haggers are not too comfortable with how he is running it. And then last Friday's episode, Kathy got a visit from Barth, who came to cheer her up. Of course, she is worried about her mortality and isn't in the mood for jokes. But when George and Martha return, he devises a game show concept called Born Losers, during which all three of the Shumways enact various depressing stories. And even though the story that Kathy tells is her own, by the end of it, the Shumways are all laughing and seeing the lighter side of their depressing situation. Kathy also thinks that Barth is attractive, but she isn't sure if she'll live long enough to start a relationship. The Jeters move into a $6 a night room at the Bide-A-Wee Motel. Wanda sets out to get comfortable, but Merle's mother Adeline is as cranky as usual. Merle urges Adeline and his brother Mickey Mo to move away from Fernwood since he no longer needs them for the campaign, but Mickey Mo insists that he is sticking around because at least he can provide food because he has a fishing pole. Buzz and Angela bust in and they cause a ruckus because they feel that Merle and Wanda deceived them and tried to infiltrate the Communist Party, and Merle kicks them out. And Mickey Mo reads another headline about how the Jeters are persona non grata. And then finally, the Shumways visit the Hartman kitchen where Tom is undertaking a redecorating project. He wants to make the kitchen his own. Then Dr. Furman catches up with them and chides Kathy for being out and about, even though Martha and George carried her in. Detective Johnson comes by and Tom gets hopeful that he has news about Mary, but HV relates that the Fernwood police have no jurisdiction in Niagara Falls, and Niagara Falls police have no interest in finding this missing woman from Fernwood. And with everyone feeling hopeless about the search for Mary, Kathy starts writing her will. Everyone, last week was a cornucopia of emotions, highs, lows, middles. It had all of the flavors of, a big bowl of vegetables and fruit. So why don't we take a bite?
Mary Hartman! Mary Hartman!
What the hell are you talking about? She's not a missing person, huh? She's missing, isn't she? And she's a person, isn't she? That makes her a missing person in my book. Yeah? Well, listen, I'm a taxpayer, right? Right? And I got a right to expect some service from the damn police department. Their lives at stake here, for God's sakes. What do you mean, whose? Mine and my family's, that's who. All right, pal, what's your badge number, huh? All right, listen, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna remember this, and the next time you need my help, you're not gonna get it! You turkey!
You mean to tell me that they haven't even started looking for her yet?
You know what the hell they told me? They said that she doesn't legally qualify as a missing person. You want to know why? Because there's no law that says a married woman can't run away with another man.
Even if the other man is a policeman?
What the hell difference? That doesn't make any difference. You know whose the hell's fault it is? It's my fault, huh? I wouldn't listen to anybody, right? Huh? Everybody tried to warn me. You tried to warn me that I was losing her, right? Heather tried to warn me. Even Foley tried to warn me. Mary tried to warn me. Would I listen to her? Hell no, not me, no.
Tom, it is not your fault. If Mary wanted to run away with Dennis Foley and those eyes, there was nothing you can do about it.
You know what the hell I should have done? I should have punched out his lights. That's what the hell I should have done.
Nah, you did good when you wrestled him at the Capri. I mean, it's not your fault he had a bad ticker. I mean, sure, you looked like a fool when you put him down, but...
You know what I should have done to that guy? I could have tied that guy right up in the knots. And I could have made him into doing it, and then he could have rolled all the way to Niagara Falls.
Tom, it is not your fault. It takes two to make a marriage and two to unmake it. Mary contributed to her own running away.
Kathy, it is my fault that she's not here. And it's my fault that she's not here to give you her kidney. Now, that's the truth. You know what the hell I'm going to do?
What?
I'm going to give you my kidney. Now, I'm going to do that.
Tom.
I'm going to do it. Even though I'm the right blood type, right? Right?
Yeah.
I take a little drink now and then, but...
Well. Say, beautiful day, eh?
It's a terrible day, and we all feel rotten.
Ah, come on. Smell that good spring air, It's great to be alive.
All right, Doctor. All right. You all right, huh? Let's stop wasting time now. I'm going to donate one of my kidneys for Kathy here. That's what I'm going to do, huh? Do you hear me? No, I'm serious.
No, Tom, you can't. You're the wrong type blood.
What the hell are you talking about? I'm the right type blood. Heather's science class, those tests she took, they proved that.
Yeah, the A+ you got on that test must have been for neatness. I checked your blood type, and it's the wrong type. It's a good thing for this family that you got a careful, conscientious family doctor.
We have who?
If I'd gone ahead and used one of Tom's kidneys, the results would have been fatal. But thanks to diligence, whose, I wonder? Everything's been avoided and everything's all right.
Mm-hmm. All right, great. What am I supposed to do? I have 2 weeks, and if I can't use Tom's kidney, what am I supposed to do?
All right. Now, that presents a problem. I'm going to think about it.
Yeah, you bet your sweet stethoscope you think about it.
Yeah, well, why don't you call me? You know my number, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, I'll be there for 2 weeks. After that, I'll be disconnected. It's a joke, get it? I don't want to die.
Come on. Boop.
From now on, I am going to make all of Kathy's favorite dishes. Oh, she'll be so happy.
Oh, Martha, do you think that eating a good meal is going to make people happy? Now, that's stupid.
Don't call me stupid.
Well, then stop saying stupid things.
I'm scared and worried, and I don't know what to do about it, so I just say crazy things. And so do you, George.
I don't say crazy things, and I'm not scared. That kidney operation doesn't bother me at all. Kathy's going to come through it with flying colors because she's a shumway.
But, George, do you think that's enough?
There you go, talking crazy again.
We've got to think about Kathy. Try to ease the strain on her, no matter what happens. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, Grandpa.
Really? I think I'll lie down. I deserve a rest.
Oh, George, I want to believe that Kathy's going to be fine, but why do I feel that I miss her already?
Oh, now, Martha, down. We've got to get some joy into this family.
Oh, I would like to, but how?
I rented some films.
Oh, good. Kathy loves films.
Now, after our fantastic dinner, I'm going to show her the rock and roll roustabout and Gidget Goes Hawaiian.
But, George, those were her favorites when she was just a little bitty girl.
Listen, those are classical. They'll always be favorites. Besides, our little girl hasn't changed much from what she used to be.
Oh, I know. You're right, George. Just a few adolescent mistakes and... look at this.
Oh,
Look at this.
the old album.
Look.
Now, there's my baby. There's my baby now. Doesn't she look just like she looks right now?
Yeah. And look, George, here she was when she was 4.
Oh, those were the good old days, weren't they, huh?
You're acting like I'm gone already.
We were just taking a stroll down memory lane. Come on, Kathy, join us. Pull up a chair. Isn't this nice? Just the three of us.
Come here, Kathy.
What?
I want you to see this. You remember this? That was the day I brought home the rocking chair horse.
That's right. And I kept falling off of it. You're right.
Oh, look, there she was in her
Oh, my
fifth grade Christmas
Oh,
program.
look at me. I can't believe it. I remember I had to sing Frosty the Snowman, and I forgot all the words, so I started tap dancing and humming.
You didn't make a fool of yourself, Kathy.
Oh, I didn't think I made a fool of myself.
Oh, well, listen. We loved it. And that audience, you hear them applaud? They meant that.
That's right.
Kathy, do you think I would be silly if I said I love you very much?
No.
Well, go ahead and say it now that you said it.
Well, Kathy, I love you very much.
And I love you too, Mommy.
Me too, little overbite. But listen now, let's not dwell on that. Let's change the subject.
Okay.
Kathy, do you have any last requests?
No, Daddy, no, Daddy. Daddy, it's all right. I have been thinking about that lately.
I'm sorry, Kathy.
No, really, I have. I've been giving a lot of thought, and I think that if I had my life to live over again, I'd want to be in show business.
Show business?
But what would you have done? Modeled?
Maybe. I mean, if it made people laugh. See, I was always happy if I could make other people laugh.
You mean like being a comedian?
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Oh, that's not fun. That's just a lot of hard work.
Yeah, but I think I would have been great at it anyway.
Well, listen, sweetheart, it's always nice to have dreams.
Why?
I haven't the slightest idea.
You know, Kathy, I think I can make that dream come true.
You starting to talk crazy again?
No, George, I don't think so.
Oh, my, how are you going to make me a comedian?
Well, Kathy, just for one night. You see, my boss at the Capri Lounge likes me very much. He was always asking me for dates.
What?
Well, it's all right, George. That's when I was living with Mac.
I see. I guess it's all right then.
So I'm going to ask him to let you perform there for one night. Oh, yes, George, I can see it now. Kathy Shumway, Up in Lights. Limited engagement.
You know, that sounds great. I'm only missing two things. A kidney and an act.
Huh?
It's a joke.
You know, it's really kind of amazing to me how you can sit there in that there revealing negligee of yours, all calm and everything, while the lives are coming down around us.
Oh, thank you, darling. Does my plucky resilience inspire you?
No, I think it kind of turns my stomach. What you reading there?
Oh, just some hate mail. You know, some of these things are really extraordinarily well written. Now, take this one, for instance. It's really a masterpiece of invective.
I don't understand how they could turn on me like that. What is all this mail? What is it, all hate or what?
Oh, no. Of course not, darling. No, the supportive mail is over there.
What, this?
Yeah.
Dear Mayor Jeter, somewhere there's a bullet waiting for you. What are you trying to do to me? Want to depress me?
Well, of course not. I'd just like to call your attention to the last sentence here where she says that she adores your mustache.
Somehow, I can't get it in my mind that this is the way my whole life is going to end up here. You know, in a $6 a night motel room, sharing a twin bed with my wife. I've been called a communist by the people of the town. I'm getting hate mail. My repulsive mommy, my slob of a brother slopping all over the place. Where did I go wrong, Wanda?
Honey, thank you for not being afraid to open up and share your troubles with me. Hey, I have a great idea. Why don't you just kind of lay your head on my bosom and just pour out your heart to me?
No, I don't think so, Wanda.
Well, in that case, why don't we just try to log some sack time, big guy? You know, everything's going to look an awful lot better tomorrow. There.
Freight train?
No, Pullman. Honey, I'm awfully sorry. This was the only room I could get right here on the tracks. I was kind of hoping you wouldn't notice.
Yeah, it seems like my life is turning into some kind of endurance test or something. I'm beginning to wonder what's next. What hellish thing is waiting for me next?
Falling in love again. What am I to do? Never wanted to. Can't help it.
Wanda, darling, would you completely losing your mind or what?
Oh, Merrill, listen to that rain. Boy, there's something so cozy about a motel room in the rain. I don't call me a romantic, but boy, whenever I hear that rain, it really brings me amour in my soul.
You know, you're really something else, Wanda. I have to agree with you. I don't know, there's something about the way a mood affects a relationship, you know? I mean, even when there's no natural chemistry at all between the two people, you know what I mean?
Merle, what about your mother?
The train didn't wake her up.
All right, rise and shine. Up, Wandy, up, Merle. Them catfish ain't gonna be biting all day. Now it's time to go after them.
Mother Adeline, I do so hate to cavil, but it is the middle of the night and there's quite a lot of rain going on out there.
Ay, golly, that's right, Wandy. That's a good girl. Time to catch catfish is when they least expect it.
You can thank your lucky stars that me and Mama's here to pitch in. Because if we had to depend on you two, we'd starve to death.
Well, I'm not going catfishing. I'm still the mayor of this town.
Uh-huh. Well, you listen to me, Mr. High and Mighty. Them days is over. Your best shot now is to come catfishing with us. And maybe you can save some money and buy yourself a mule, plow up some ground, raise some turnips.
I was telling you right, Merle. It's your only chance.
You sound like fools, both of you. There's no possible way Wanda could plow up enough ground to make a decent income. What's the matter with you? I'm getting sick of both of you meandering and fooling around with my political career. You're screwing it up. Now go on and catch your damn catfish.
Hoity toity. He's glad enough to eat 'em when we catch 'em, ain't he, Mickey Mo? Say glad enough to eat 'em when we catch 'em.
You were wonderful.
Wanda? I'm gonna get us out of this. I know I can't stand it any longer.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. Merle Jeter may be down now, but I promise you he will rise again. And I got a little plan. I'm gonna get rid of Mommy, get my good name back. I just have a feeling, Wanda, that I'm about to make my comeback. You just stick with me here for a while. I'm about to make my move.
And not a moment too soon.
Oh, hey, here she is.
Now, listen to me, Kathy, hon. The thing is, you know, I've had so much experience in showbiz and everything. I just want to give you this little advice. Immediately get reproach with the audience. And in that way, they will get to know you and like you. Yeah, but what happens if they don't like me? Darn, hon, that's a stumper because my audiences personally have always loved me. But gosh, dogged darling, they're going to love you, hon. They'll like you. Now, listen, what you need to do, if you don't hear them laughing, give them right smack between the eyes a boffo, you know, like a surefire joke. And if you need any extras, I happen to have a fabulous one.
Yeah, but is it better than Reginald Jones' 1,000 favorite jokes?
I'm not familiar with Reggie there, but let me tell you something now. This one is hilarious. I can guarantee you that. I know that for a fact. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, this has a lot of acting movements. It's got movements and visual necessities with it, so it's kind of audio-visual, see? So you've got to get all the components, parts of it right. Now, you say, this is what you do, you put your hand up there and you say, why is my hand like a lemon pie?
Why?
Because I got meringue on it. Get it? See, lemon meringue pie. Oh, it's time for you to go now. Look, I'll give you a Boffo intro, and honey, you are going to knock them dead. Hey.
Boy, I'll tell you, you all are really in store for a big, big treat tonight at the Capri Lounge. Hon, we've got a little gal who's going to entertain the daylights out of y'all tonight. Now, I would venture to say she's probably Fernwood's funniest female gal. And here she is now. Let's give a real big hand for Kathy Lorraine Shumway. Let's go.
Hello. Welcome to Ha Ha Night at the Old Capri. You know, I really love this place. I really do. But you know, the food here isn't that good. As a matter of fact, a man came in the other night and he asked for some wild goose. No, Mother. Anyway, he asked for some wild goose. And, oh yeah, and the waiter said, well, I'm sorry, sir, but we don't have any wild goose, but we can get a tame one and make them real angry at you. But seriously, folks, I love food. I really do. I mean, I really do. But I can't cook too well. And, in fact, last week I made some crabapple jelly for my family, and I don't understand why they didn't like it. I mean, I put the best apples in it and the best crabs. And also I made him a special meal. I really did. I made him a special meal, and it had everything in it. I mean, it had onions and garlic and a smattering of Limburger cheese. And they said, well, when are you going to serve it, Kathy? And I said, serve it? Are you kidding? I can't even get near it. The drinks here are really good. The drinks here are very good. I mean, they're a little too strong. In fact, last night I overheard two men sitting at the bar who were just drunk. And one man said, you know what, let's get out of here, Joe. Let's go home. I'm going to drive. And Joe said, you drive? And the man said, yeah, I'm too drunk to walk. And there's a man who comes in here. There's a man who comes in here every night, and boy, he's really a lush. I mean, he drinks so much. And he said to me, he came up to me and he said, excuse me, miss, have you seen my wife? And I said, why, no. And he said, well, if you did, then you'd know why I drink all the time. There's another one. I've got another one. Oh, never mind. That's it. Thank you.
You were a real triumph. Oh, yes, you were. I have never laughed so hard in my whole life.
You guys, you all made my life. You really did. It was wonderful. And nothing else can happen. It's just wonderful.
You're great. You're really great.
Oh,
really,
thank
really
you.
Wonderful.
People.
Look, who's here?
I've been checking all the health records at the assembly plant, and at the hospital. And I've come up with two ideal donors for Kathy's,
A carrot kidney?
Kidney.
Oh, Kathy. That is just wonderful. It's just like a movie. Saved at the last moment. Only this time it is not John Wayne, but Dr. Furman.
Yeah.
Well, who are the two people?
Well, one of them is Garth Gimble.
Garth Gimble's dead.
Oh, well, that sort of tends to eliminate him as a donor.
Well, who's the other donor?
Now, wait 1 minute, please. I am a star tonight, and I'm having a great time, and I'm on top of the world, and I don't want to hear any bad news, and I don't want to talk about kidneys.
But, Kathy, this is great news. I mean, we've got a possible donor.
Possible, yeah, possible. Sure, how many people want to give up their kidney? Tom, sure, why not? He has nothing to lose. But how many people are that giving? Yeah, love thy neighbor. It sure sounds good, doesn't it? If your neighbor isn't sick and doesn't want anything from you, that's when it sounds good. Yeah, but how many people off the street will come and
Kathy, this
What?
is not just someone off the street.
Oh, Kathy, darling, this is a Christian kidney, hon. Just accept it with love.
It's
God's
Loretta
doing this for you.
Haggers.
My goodness.
Oh, this final week is gonna be juicy. And we start with Tom yelling at the police over the body of Kathy. That's the second time I feel like she's been laid out on their island like that, or maybe it was the kitchen table. I don't remember which table she was on when she was giving birth, but I guess she's lying out to rest. And this is just to catch everyone up on what happened last week with regard to the search for Mary. The Fernwood police cannot search for her. She's left of her own volition. She's not like kidnapped. It would make a big difference in Kathy's life, but as a criminal investigation, it is not that. Dr. Furman comes in with a correction to the news we found out last week that Tom had the right blood type. And I'm reminded that back in January, like the middle of January, was when Heather took these blood tests. Someone mentioned that. A few different people mentioned that in the comments. Well, apparently she did not get the right type. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but it's probably better for the story that Tom doesn't have the right kind of kidney. So right now, there's this search for Mary, which seems fruitless, and the thing that we will discover by the end of the episode. This episode, other than one scene, really focuses on Kathy, which we see in the next scene with Martha and George. George has put up a reel-to-reel projector right before VCRs. That was how you watched movies at home. And George has gotten a Gidget movie. If you don't remember Gidget, she was kind of a teeny bopper from the 1950s in the films and on TV. I remember on TV she was played by Sally Field. She'd maybe be the equivalent of like the 90s Hannah Montana kind of show, or I to be honest, I don't watch like that targeted show nowadays, but there are probably some equivalents nowadays. If you know of a modern day 2022 equivalent to what Gidget and that sort of teeny bopper kind of thing is, like in terms of TV shows, go ahead and share that in the comments. Kathy comes in, and it feels to her, as they're looking at the photo album, that they're kind of getting rid of her. But this turns into a bit of a reminiscence to remember the good memories. And they're in a, yes, there's fatality, or there's fatalism, right? There's this impending doom that is hanging over them, but they are going to look at the good parts of their life, and that's really great. And then it turns into a sort of make-a-wish story for Kathy. She really, now that things are getting close, she realizes that comedy was something that she really wanted to do. And Martha happens to have an inn at the Capri Lounge since she's been working there for a few months at this point. Not only that, the boss seems to like her. We've never seen this action. It's something more for George's reaction, but the ability to get Kathy a gig is really wonderful. I was not expecting it to be 2 scenes away, but there you go. And then next we are at the Bide-A-Wee Motel, where Merle and Wanda kind of regroup after the devastating last week that they had. Merle is, of course, angry, and this place is the worst room in the Bide-A-Wee. Like the last time we were at the Bide-A-Wee, it was all right. Back when we were investigating Big Honey, and even earlier than that when Merle was trying to get into Loretta's pants. But this room at the Bide-A-Wee is the worst. And all I really want to say about this is that through the worst, this couple that when they started did not seem to connect actually do have a really strong relationship. Merle and Wanda, they are really not the same kind of person, which probably is why they work so well together. Wanda sees the bright side and always wants to push forward, even though things are awful. And she is able to take Merle and reassure him and even get, erotically romantic, even though Adeline and Mickey Mo are there and insist on going out to catch catfish. Catfishing nowadays means something completely different than it might have meant in the 1970s, but I don't feel like going into a whole diatribe about internet safety. And then I was surprised to find us at the Capri Lounge, where Kathy is preparing to go on stage. That was a quick turnaround. Apparently, that joke book was really all she needed, but it starts with Loretta egging her on, giving her advice about being on stage. Loretta in this show is a very seasoned performer. Kathy is not. I've never seen her up in front of people. So for her to get on stage and do this thing would be thrilling, terrifying, scary, wonderful. All of those things probably mixed together put her on stage. And the crowd, they take to her and her joke book jokes. Like, this doesn't look like any stand-up that I have seen in the last 30 or 40 years. Like, joke book jokes, that's what you tell when you're in the schoolyard. But this is where Kathy hits it. She really makes an impression. And then she's at the table with her family. They just love her. And then Dr. Furman comes in and he has looked through the medical records. He has a giant file case of the folks at the factory. One donor potentially would be Garth Gimble, who everyone recognizes has died. And then we put off who that potential other donor could be. A thing that comes to mind, though, is that if Garth Gimble had a kidney that worked, perhaps Barth Gimble could provide one. However, before we get to hearing or thinking about that, the other potential donor that Dr. Furman has found, and I've got to give it up for Dr. Furman because typically I think of him as pretty lazy, but he's actually seeming to do a lot of work on this case. But the other person that he has found is Loretta, and Loretta is not as excited as Tom was to give up his kidney, or her kidney in this case. So I suppose that's going to be a question. I don't know what will happen there. Potentially there's Barth Gimble, maybe. I expect that the twins would have the same blood type. Maybe Mary will be found. That's something that really, we just know that we can't find her at this point. So Kathy's fate has a few different bits of hope. There are a few threads that she can reach to. What will happen with Loretta? Does Loretta feel so uncomfortable that she would not give up her kidney? Is there going to be something that stops her from doing that? Will they figure out that Barth is potentially a candidate? Will Mary come back? All of these things, those are questions that we start the week with. So I suppose we're going to have to wait for some answers. And now it's time for us to address the question of the week, which I asked in the middle of January. It's like a month and a half ago, but I give you a week for a question and then we look at it. This question was a two-parter, and it was, what is your takeaway from having watched this series? And part two was, what shows would you recommend to folks that really enjoyed this? Our first response is from Ariel Malanga. There seems to have been a need for absurdism in the mid-70s. I think mores were changing, and Watergate must have shocked the nation, as well as the horror of the Vietnam War and the fact that we basically lost. For those who enjoy Mary Hartman, I think I would recommend MASH. I love that show. Monty Python's Flying Circus, and even The Gong Show, which I find fascinating in many ways. I don't watch much television, so I can't think of a contemporary equivalent. Yeah, absurdism was definitely part of the vibe, and that even goes to comic books. Like, Howard the Duck was at its height in 1976, 1974 to 76. By 77, it was kind of out the window. Things really changed from the 60s, and I think Ariel is right that Watergate and the Vietnam War the various assassinations at the end of the 60s. That, plus that sort of end of counterculture, right? Like the hippie revolution of the 60s up until the 1970s, sort of early shift towards what would be called the me generation. I wonder if Mary Hartman is a bit of the me generation thinking, and I don't know how to address that idea, the me generation, but I will do what's good for me, I guess is the simple way to describe it. I'll see what I can find on YouTube and we'll put it up here. Yeah, that sense of really not just being your everyday show was something that was happening in the 1970s. There was a lot of outre things. And then back to the 1980s, and there was a completely different kind of conformity. And here's a second part from Ariel. I thought of a film I would recommend to the Mary Hartman crowd. It's called Gummo and takes place in Xenia, Ohio, if I remember correctly. It deals with some of the same issues that are addressed here. I haven't seen Gummo, but it certainly has a very intense reputation. It was written by Harmony Korine, and all I really know about it is the movie poster, so I suppose I better have myself a night to watch. And everyone, we have, after today, 4 episodes left. I just don't know what to say or what to expect. I'm hopeful for good things, but who knows? I don't know if we'll ever see Mary again. But there we are. Thank you so much for watching with me. Thank you so much for leaving your thoughts, feelings, and impressions down in the comments. Thank you for joining me for these final cinque, fin episodes of Mary Hartman. We will see you tomorrow night in Fernwood.